So I'm going to talk about bananas and my experiences so far growing them here. Very wetlands. We have wetter areas, drier areas, more sunny areas, more shady areas. But we're still kind of, no matter what, we're bordering on like swamp, acidic swamplands. This is a dwarf. I don't know if it was the dwarf orinoco. You see there's a pup there. And then there's a bloom. So it did bloom, but it never produced any actual bananas. Here's a little bit of a close-up of the bloom, or the bloom head, I should say. You don't see any actual flowers yet. And this was an ice cream cultivar, which grew pretty fast, and it actually bloomed and it produced some green bananas. They never ripened though. We had probably like 6 or 8 different cultivars we tested, in slightly raised beds, in a pretty wet area with a little bit of sunlight. And they grew well until like winter time. This was from a shipment of 4 double mahoi banana trees that we got in 2015. This is what the dwarf orinoco banana looked like when we planted it in a half barrel here. This was our larger raised bed we made for 5 different cultivars, and we had like 2 or 3 half barrel raised beds around the area. So you can see kind of one of them right there, and you can see how tiny they are when we planted them. I think the one on this end was probably the ice cream banana cultivar, because it was the biggest and it grew the fastest. Just another angle of the same raised bed. I believe we had ice cream, we had the dwarf orinoco, had Raja puri, kandarian, I don't know, the double mahoi, and a few others. Here they were, same year, probably just a couple months later, and look how big they got fast. As you can see, the ice cream cultivar just grew, double or triple the size in just a couple months. This is the kandarian, little tiny banana. And when you get them tissue cultured from some of these nurseries, you get a really tiny banana in a lot of cases. But they do grow fast if they do well. There's another shot with one of the ones that are in a container, and yeah, it got pretty big too. Bigger than most, but not quite as big as the ice cream cultivar. This is our original banana, little area, and we have no idea what kind of banana this is. We've had periods where it produced, a bunch of pups, and over time, flooding, cold weather, it would almost wipe them out. This one bloomed pretty much every year. It produced green bananas that pretty much never ripened because we always got a cold snap. And then we could use some of them. Sometimes if they were big enough, we could kind of use them as baked potatoes or plantains, They're just, I don't know if the word would be too astringent to eat raw, But you can bake them similar to a baked potato. Here that is the same unknown cultivar that's just been passed around for like 30 or 40 years around this area, from neighbor to neighbor and stuff, that who knows what it is. And this is actually what the banana flowers look like. That's the blooms there. Each one of those things, I guess, can potentially turn into a banana. So one year in 2019, we actually got big bananas on that cultivar. Did they actually make it to be ripened? So here they are. Had 7 bananas. A couple at the top are green, and then we had some yellow ones there. These do not look like anything you get at the grocery store. They're short, but they're really fat. They probably weighed nearly a pound a piece. So if you ate one of them, you're pretty much full. I like the bananas, but after like 30 plus years of growing them, this is basically the only ripe ones we've ever seen on them. My actual cluster of them is basically down to 2 now, and I'm going to try to move one of them to my kind of like wetlands area that was, it should be pretty fertile because it was a goat pen. And you've probably seen videos of this area where all the elderberries grow. So we, in this area toward the camera here, this is like the first like 30 or 40 feet where the goats usually got fed and ate, and they pooped a lot, and you know, there was a lot of hay that composted down, and you know, it's got a pretty nice little hill there where everything just turned into some good compost. So I'm thinking of taking some of that area and putting it back into the sun a little bit more, and then putting it on this like fence line, which you probably can't see here, and just putting one out, seeing how well it does. And it would be nice if I could just plant like a whole colony, but if it does well, and if the trees around it give it some cold protection, and if it doesn't flood and fall down, you know, like, which that's a problem here. Sometimes they just overflood and they're so low rooted that they just fall down, and that's, you know, just a chance we got to take. As far as all of these other cultivars that I tried, you know, we slowly just lost them year by year in the cold and stuff. And maybe last year there was a little pup that come up or something. I'm not even sure if anything's going to come up this year. So if anything comes up, I could transplant it back to that wet area too. But for the most part, this was a total failure, and I'm not sure if any of it would be worth it, but we're gonna, you know, just try to utilize what we have, and maybe put some more work and effort into making sure the bananas have a lot of compost and good fertilizer, and making sure that the rain waters don't just like wash away the roots and make them fall as easily. But that's my little adventure, you know. And this is zone 9A right now. USDA is on 9A, and I've been living here in this area long enough to see it be like 8A temperatures. So it's went from like 8A to 8B, and now it's 9A, and if we get a really bad, you know, winter, it'll go down probably back to 8B. I don't have like the same micro or whatever climate of like Gainesville, where they have so many like buildings and asphalt and cement that kind of creates about a 6-degree higher temperature than out here in the boonies, you know. So you can get some wind and maybe a little cold protection from the trees and all in the shade, but it's still colder than, you know, like a concrete jungle there. So they have an advantage there. With the right protection, it's probably possible, you know, in a greenhouse or whatever, to have bananas every year and produce a pretty good amount. But I just don't have the time and the resources to and the space, like indoor space and all, to utilize, you know, everything that we could potentially do. Maybe one day we'll find the right balance and have some successes. Is it really worth growing bananas that, you know, every 3 years you get something that's like a plantain or baked potato, and then every 20 or 30 years get a really ripe cluster of bananas? Probably not, but so far we did it once, and it was really unique. Not like a grocery store banana, you know. Just, I've never had a banana so big that it would like fill you up, except for whatever this cultivar is.